such a young age. You had a background in finance. You have two master's degree. You were working in New York City at that time. What inspired you to get into politics?
Well, it was less about politics and more about the military initially, and then that changed into politics via the former mayor. But I always felt something special about what this country provided for my family as Holocaust survivors, and I viewed military service as a partial payment for citizenship, and then that just led to where I am today. And I think if there's one thing you could take away from kind of my experiences and story is that you don't really know where life will take you and what doors will open up based on the decisions and choices that you make. And I think that I could not have foreseen in 2001 that I'd be in this situation today. But I'm thankful that we got fortunate, some good mentors, and some doors opened up along the way.
I read, actually, you gave an interview with Political Driven with Scott Salmon.
Okay, yeah.
And you spoke about that. You spoke about your career. You spoke about Glenn Cunningham.
Yeah, he was really good to me. I mean, and everybody, I think, successful has to have some sort of somebody who's reaching back and trying to help them. And so we try to do that for younger people here with interns and mentors, and really pushing young people into more senior positions than maybe they would have had in a different type of environment. And I'm just a believer that as you put more responsibility on these people, more often than not, they rise to the occasion. It's not perfect, and you trust them and you give them the chance, and young people really drive the city ultimately. Having
two master's degree, serving a term in Iraq, being in the military, that's a lot. Where does that come from?
Well, I think being a first generation American and my family being immigrants here, I think created a certain work ethic, okay? That, my father and my mother have tremendous work ethic. I think me and my brothers had the same, so I think that drove us. My priority in college was really just to go into finance. I thought that's where I would end up. And I was looking for the most financially secure life at the time. And I didn't think military service was really something that would end up happening because you were in a peaceful time. And I thought if it was necessary, I would do it, but or the opportunity presented itself. But at that time, it didn't seem like something that on my trajectory until 9/11 happened. So that changed. Again, college, I was looking at one thing, and then that manifested itself at Goldman, and then it pivoted my life after 9/11 to a totally different direction.
Do you remember what you felt like when you were serving in the military in Iraq?
Well, I think I was excited and comfortable with my decision. There were points where I was scared. There were points where obviously I was lonely and missed my family, and there were points where I was sad about the impact that it would have on people that were close to me, particularly like my parents, that thought that I was sacrificing a lot. And I felt like I took years off my parents' life probably with stress, right? And I could appreciate that more today as a parent, because you're really only as happy as your least happy child, right? And you want to make sure that your children are always safe. And when you have a child that's making that decision, I fully didn't appreciate that then. I recognized, and it made me sad that I was putting stress on them. I certainly today as a parent view it in a different way.
Do you feel comfortable sharing about the impact during COVID? What happened to you?
Talk about it. I'm here. Whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'd like to know, what were you going through, because you just had a baby.
Yeah.
And you had a son at that time. You were still about a year old?
Yeah. I mean, I had my personal challenges. We had my wife was pregnant. The baby was born during COVID, so that made obviously things a little more difficult. I lost my grandmother during that time, so due to COVID, so that made it difficult as well. And then you had a lot of heavy stuff happening in the city, and there was no book to really, chart how you respond in a certain way here. So we had our challenges here as well. So I think 2019 till this year has been a really tough time and a learning time, but it also kind of brought the city together, both constituents and communities, as well as kind of our team internally, because you were able to kind of rely on people in a way you didn't before. And some people really rose to the challenge, which was nice to see.
I couldn't go anywhere, like most of us.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you got to spend time with yourself.
You prioritize different things.
Exactly.
And, if you try to find the positive the last 2 years, I think it's kind of recalibrated how I see certain things with regards to how I structure my day and my time. and what's important. Like 3 years ago, so my older brother, who I was very close to, passed away from a massive heart attack. He was working at Related. I appreciate that. He was working at Related on Hudson Yards at a very senior job, and he was on a business trip in Asia. And he had 2 daughters, beautiful wife, great family, and by all accounts, at 45 years old, he was relatively healthy, right? You would look at him, you'd think he was healthy, no real major kind of issues that you would see more than anybody else. Was overseas, had a massive heart attack, and he died, right? And so the thing for me was, again, realigning kind of priorities and how I view things, because again, nothing here is permanent and things could change pretty quickly in dramatic ways. So you try your best every day to enjoy the job, enjoy what you're doing, and make it meaningful and have an impact and all those things that I touched on, and that's all you can control.
You're a protector, you're a provider, you're a leader, you're an inspiration force for your young son and daughter. I mean,
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, you could say that. It's okay to be humble and say that. I mean, you wear many hats.
Yeah.
How do you find that balance?
Well, look, my favorite part of the day is the time with my kids, right? And that's changed for me in the last 3 years, because I didn't have kids 4 years ago, right? And I didn't appreciate how much I would enjoy being a father. So I try to structure my day really around their schedule. That's kind of the most important thing to me, is being a good husband and good father. I appreciate that more since COVID than ever. And then secondly, I try my best every day to kind of leave everything I have in this job. I mean, I really do love the job. I'm very thankful. I'm very aware, like I said, it's not permanent. So I try my best every day to kind of like put everything I have into it, and say that when I look back on my performance 20 years from now, that I know that I put everything I have into it. So I think that one of the better things about me is that I am self-aware on my own deficiencies, and I don't take titles too seriously, and that allows me to do a good job here, and also at the same time I think to be a good husband and father most of the time. You
have a fun style.
Okay. Yes.
And I don't know if you purposely wake up and say,
"No, I'm
going to dress like this today because I think I'm cool."
I say I try to be comfortable. That's what I try to do. I try to go to work now, and the pandemic probably recalibrated that a little bit. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be in an environment and a state of mind that I enjoy and thankful for every minute. And I'm more conscious now that the job that I'm in now is certainly not a permanent job. I always appreciated that, and I appreciate now that nothing is permanent, but this will come to an end, and I might as well enjoy every moment of it the way I want to enjoy it. People work from home now, and attire has certainly changed with how people approach the job. I think, look, I think getting up in the morning and putting on a structured suit and whatnot, I think it does help in some ways, right? Because it shifts you into a mindset of maybe a little bit more professionalism and where you're going to and how you have to act. But, look, you go back to what I said earlier on trying to enjoy every moment of this job, and comfort is important. And if I'm not in a meeting, I say I might as well be in a place that I feel great about every aspect and enjoy it. So,
how do you de-stress?
How do I de-stress? I de-stress by running. I enjoy running and swimming and biking. So I did a lot of triathlons, and for me, I enjoy that, and it clears my mind.
What is your favorite hangout spot in Jersey City?
My favorite hangout spot in Jersey City, I go to Matthews a decent amount. I like Cellar. I am often at Wonder Bagel on Central Avenue. People know that I'm there almost every day. I feel comfortable there.
They got good bagels, though.
They good bagels, and I know the people there, and for whatever reason, I feel comfortable reading the paper there and just settling down.
What is your favorite musician?
Changes based on kind of what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, based on what I'm listening to. Example, I just got tickets for Coldplay in 2 weeks at MetLife, so that'll be a great show. I love them. I like Eminem, but I also like and play a lot of classical music on the piano. So,
do you play the piano?
I do play the piano. It's a wide variety of stuff that I'm into, and it just changes based on kind of mood and predicament at the time.
What do you geek out on?
I would say the piano. I spend a lot of time playing the piano. I play it every day, and it's a personal thing. I don't generally play in front of people because I'm very self-conscious of it. I did once. Once in my life, we had John Popper from Blues Traveler came here. He was here doing something in Jersey City for a nonprofit, and he came in, and we were having a conversation. We had a mutual friend, and he said, "Hey, I heard you play the piano." And I said, "I do, since I was little." And he said, "Why don't you come out and play with us later on tonight?" They were playing a small venue, FM bar over here. And I said, "Look, I really appreciate it. I'm not like somebody who plays with like a lot of other musicians because I'm self-conscious of it, and I wasn't really trained that way. And I don't know, I appreciate it." And he was like pressuring me. And then he said, "Look, I'm a trained musician. I'm an expert, right? I play in big venues, right? FM was a favorite. He plays in very, very big venues." He said, "I will make sure that you sound and look good, right?" And I said, "Oh, okay." So that was enticing. I went there that night. I mean, I had a lot of drinks, and I tried to get like courageous. And then they called me up, and we played Big Boss Man. Elvis did that. It's been some covers from it since then. And it was great. I mean, it was like, I wish I could get more into playing with other musicians. That's one thing I do want to do more of in the next year. But what do I geek out on? It's the piano, because I played a lot.
You're going to be another Bill Clinton with his saxophone?
I don't know. I mean, he played on The Late Show, right? Or The Tonight Show. And I don't know if I'm at that stage. I mean, I can play the piano well, but
just
I don't know if I feel uncomfortable with playing
Life is too short. If it makes you, it moves you, and it makes you feel a certain way, just do it. Do you still consider yourself an expert in deli meat?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I spent a lot of time in my dad's deli, so yes, I do know a lot about cold cuts and delis and operations, and yes, I worked the register mostly and the grocery aisles, but I did do the deli counter plenty of times, so yes.
What's the first thing you do in the morning?
I get up with Jackson, my son, so I get up when he gets up, and then I'll pick up my daughter, or she gets up generally around 6:30, and then I will go for a run shortly after that when either Nanny comes or Jacqueline gets up, so one or the other, and then I'll go for a workout run and then get ready for work, and that's the normal morning.
Set your mindset.
That's it.
That's good. That's the best way to do it. Are you a beach person or a mountain person?
I'm more of a mountain person. Yeah. My wife is more of a beach person, so it's a little bit of a break, but we end up obviously spending more time at the beach because she's more dominant in that way. But I prefer mountains. Like, I love Montana and Colorado, and I mean, I love that part of the country.
I can smell it.
It's great.
Do you sing in the shower?
No. The military is like, you take a shower quickly, and there's a purpose, you're doing something, and you're getting out.
You always clean up after yourself after you cook?
I'm not a big person on cooking because I don't have that skill. In our house, generally speaking, if Jacqueline does something, I'll do the cleanup, and if I do something, she'll do the cleanup. It's kind of how it's broken down.
Nothing changes because you're the mayor of Jersey City?
No, nothing changes in my house.
What do you like to do when no one is around?
What I like to do, I mean, I play the piano a lot. Going back to that, I play the piano a lot, and it's a good release for me, and I tend to find something that I'll work on throughout the whole year with regards to the piano, and I'll kind of chip away at it till I feel like it's really good. Like right now we're doing, I'm doing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, the third movement, so it's like really, it's complicated and long, and it's beautiful, and so when I have time and free, like I try to chip away at learning it a little bit.
How many high tops do you own? Sneakers in general?
Yeah, 10 or 12 pairs.
What object do you keep misplacing?
I mean, my earpods, it's an endless thing of me going to Best Buy and buying new ones.
God, I just lost a pair.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's worse. And it got worse for me because now I did these wireless ones. I used to keep the wires because it was easier for me to locate them. And so, and then I bought these wireless ones that are more expensive and I lost them. So I just bought another one, which I'll lose as well.
What is your most irrational fear?
I mean, I'm terrified of heights. I don't like heights. And a lot of people have that fear. I have that pretty bad. So, and there's no getting over it. So it is what it is.
I agree. What advice would you give yourself, your young self, today?
Look, it's hard to do it from this vantage point, but I would say to myself today that things will work out and you don't need to stress about some of the little things that you went crazy over at the time, because in the grand scheme of things, they are less relevant. And sometimes, you know, in my earlier time, even in public office, I would get upset about a negative article or somebody saying something, and I would think it's the end of the world now. It doesn't even bother me, it doesn't even faze me, but it's taken time to get there. And I would say to my younger self that those sort of little things, you don't need to let you get distracted and change your mindset as a result of them, because they'll pass fairly quickly, and as long as you stay on the course that you're on, you'll be fine.
And that's a very important message, especially today with the younger generation.
Yeah, sure.
Depression and anxiety, and that's really rising in America, and that's something that I'm really passionate about. How would you like to be remembered?
I would think, first of all, like I said, family-wise, as being a good dad and a good husband. So that's first. And then secondly, is having a larger impact on community. And trying to do that every day, and I think we are. But I think that it is hard to make a meaningful impression or a lasting change in any community or society. And I try my best every day in this little corner of the world to do things that are meaningful. And I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to impact people's lives in a positive way in this small little corner of the world, right? And like I said earlier, I don't take it for granted, and try to surround myself with good people that move that agenda forward.
You have a great team.
Yeah.
Is there something else that I left out that you want to share with me?
You did a great job.
You sure?
Yes. You have very, very good interviewing energy.
Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Maybe it's because, you know, you're older than other students, so you have more maturity and perspective on life, but very easy demeanor about you.
Thank you.
Guys, take care. Thank you.
Bye.